Is Squidward a better friend to SpongeBob than Patrick? I saw a video suggesting that Squidward is more of a friend or a better friend to SpongeBob than Patrick. Their proof was the pizza episode, where an angry customer makes SpongeBob cry. Then Squidward throws a pizza in the customer's face and lies to SpongeBob to comfort him. And I have to say, it got me thinking. SpongeBob and Squidward definitely have a co-worker relationship. SpongeBob is the younger, less experienced of the two. Squidward has more professional experience than the sponge, but as some would say, has lost some of his youthful innocence and has grown into an adult. But as much as Squidward is upset by SpongeBob's antics, he cares for him. It's proven in episodes like Pizza Delivery, where he stands up for SpongeBob, or April Fools, where he genuinely feels remorse for pulling a nasty prank on the sponge and apologizes to him. Squidward does have a heart. He's just lost some of that carefree nature through the hardships of adulthood.
Now, whether Squidward is a better friend can be debated, and for some, it's difficult to say for certain. Squidward has never harmed SpongeBob, but he is often irritated by the sponge's pranks, and then he struggles to control his temper when they push him to the brink. Patrick is as innocent and carefree as SpongeBob, yet he can be irresponsible at times. Patrick has also injured SpongeBob physically and mentally at times, particularly in later seasons. Personally, I think all three works as a dynamic trio. SpongeBob is the mediator of the group, Patrick works as the comedic relief, and Squidward has the smarts. I love stories that surround the three of them overcoming challenges, like in Club SpongeBob or the camping episode. These episodes prove that while the three may all be different, they all have a role to play. And I get it. Fans argue that Patrick doesn't really grasp how much his antics hurt SpongeBob, and SpongeBob doesn't reject him very frequently either. The friend that is usually polite and understands you well is Patrick. In most situations, their own foolishness is mostly to blame for the chaos until a more astute outsider arrives to put things right. But is ignorance ever an excuse? Squidward seems distant or disinterested, but he cares and is there for SpongeBob when he needs him. Despite their stark contrasts, they could work well together. When they truly work together, it's usually considered a successful moment. I guess it's closer to a friendship amongst co-workers than it is with intimate friends. Patrick and SpongeBob enjoy themselves, but Squidward is there for SpongeBob when he needs someone with greater emotional intelligence. Perhaps this is why Squidward assists SpongeBob more. Some fans believe that Squidward only tolerates SpongeBob as a colleague and would never have thought of them as friends in the first place. Like I said before, I think that he truly cares for SpongeBob, but I believe it's more in the sense of an older brother worrying about himself, but also cares for his younger, immature brother. So rather than being buddies, I would think of them as siblings. But this has forced me to consider whether Patrick is actually a good friend to SpongeBob, and I believe there is a point to be made there. He acts with extreme carelessness and never pauses to consider the impact of his actions on others. He's gotten SpongeBob into a lot of trouble on more than one occasion. The episode where they went to jail for stealing the balloon comes to mind. So, the other question is, who do you think would have your back? Your seemingly disinterested older brother or your foolish best friend?
I also wonder if the answer would change if you consider SpongeBob to be an adult or a child. I think he's sort of on the cusp, but Patrick is more of a child. And because of that, Patrick isn't really able to be a dependable, supportive friend like SpongeBob deserves. Honestly, Patrick has been less of a close friend in recent years. That time, Patrick was an ungrateful, because SpongeBob offered him a handshake on Valentine's Day. Honestly, he has done and said a number of pretty rude things to SpongeBob. What he says to SpongeBob when they return from National No SpongeBob Day tears my heart. SpongeBob stayed at home, cleaned, and cared for their baby Scallop Jr., while Patrick went to work every day, but was really just sitting under his rock and watching TV. Patrick ate SpongeBob's flashcards, which he really needed for the driver's exam. When Patrick boasted about his driver's license to SpongeBob, Patrick's bullying degradation of SpongeBob in front of his parents, to the point of driving him insane, did not appear particularly caring. Also, he refused to share the gift they received, regardless of how rational SpongeBob was, or him being completely unresponsive as they were raising that clam together. He has willfully been malicious towards SpongeBob on numerous occasions. In earlier seasons, this argument wouldn't stand. Patrick actually was a good friend to SpongeBob then, but lately I'm realizing he is turning out to be a horrible friend. Every character did, honestly, but early SpongeBob and Patrick were truly BFFs, like in the first episode when Patrick is the one to give SpongeBob the confidence to go the Krusty Krab. However, based on episodes I have been rewatching, and some fans have pointed out, Patrick comes across nasty, untrustworthy, and a bad influence. He constantly has ideas and puts himself in awkward positions, then lacks accountability when something goes wrong. Similar to persuading SpongeBob to take Sandy's spaceships, or the Suds incident, or the time he deliberately frightened Squidward to obtain his ink. There are a lot of instances. He really gaslighted him, had that embarrassing picture of himself, and had that secret box when he gave SpongeBob a dirty look with his license. He was a jerk about the issue when Gary picked him over SpongeBob. He persuaded SpongeBob into thinking that he was unattractive, convinced him to accept the balloon, and then accused him of consuming his chocolate. In the episode where SpongeBob is by himself in his underwear, everyone comes back to say they needed a break from him, and Patrick makes fun of him. After he persuaded SpongeBob to stop being like a baby and behave like a man, they went to SpongeBob's Gram's house and received special treatment. He never supports him and always takes advantage of him. He abandoned him at the bottom. In the Greatest Day Ever episode, he doesn't even give him a second thought, using SpongeBob's net instead. After SpongeBob spent the entire night ensuring Patrick didn't get hurt while sleepwalking. I think people use Patrick's ignorance as an excuse way too often. Then there is the theory of him actually being a genius, which puts that excuse into perspective. Is he being merely a cunning person who acts foolish to avoid taking responsibility for his actions? Because sometimes, seemingly out of nowhere, he says something extremely insightful. In contrast, despite his obnoxious ways, SpongeBob genuinely cares about people and will stop at nothing to help them. He constantly makes sacrifices for other people. Everyone takes advantage of him, and he is always ready to put the needs of others before his own. Everyone is rude to SpongeBob. He's simply too innocent and kind-hearted to realize. On the day when all he wanted to do was to go home and watch the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy special, he gave in to everyone's requests and missed the episode and felt really depressed. SpongeBob ought to be with better people. When SpongeBob had weird breath in this episode, Patrick is a terrible friend. When Patrick believes he has caught the ugly, he disregards all the lessons he had previously given SpongeBob about accepting oneself. He completely persuades SpongeBob that he is ugly, shattering his confidence. I guess if the argument is Team Patrick or Team Squidward, I'm Team SpongeBob. So what is the point of this video, you ask? I don't know, but let me know in the comments below what you think. Is Patrick becoming a horrible friend to SpongeBob, or has he always been that way? Is Squidward his true best friend? Let me know, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that you are notified when I post another video. Thanks for watching.